According to the American Medical Association, in 2023, 48.2% of all physicians experience at least one symptom of burnout. And just like most diseases, the key to preventing burnout is to identify and treat it early. See, I was an attending cardiologist in 2012, and at the age of 33, I quickly started sensing signs of this burnout in my own life. I felt capped on my income. I couldn't grow in my profession. I was being told what to do by hospital systems, by my employers. I didn't have the autonomy or the agency to see and take care of the patients the way I wanted to. Also, if you're in private equity or a hospital system, that's when you start becoming less of a physician and more of a workhorse. Obviously, declining reimbursements don't help. Instead of just trying to treat this mentally and trying to endure and suffer and accept my circumstances, I proceeded to change my circumstances. I realized that if I can practice for the fun of it, I practice for the medicine for the love of the game, because I really enjoy patient interaction, because I want to serve my patients, and my income came entirely from another place, then no one would have power over me. And that's exactly what I did when I started thinking about non-clinical income. And so you may be wondering, hey, what is non-clinical income? Well, in my case, it was real estate. I chose to learn about real estate, and eventually I created an 8-figure net worth and immense amount of cash flow that allowed me to leave traditional medicine at the age of 40. One of my first loves of medicine was learning to do something called functional medicine, where I was able to treat the root cause of disease. And as a cardiologist, I was able to prevent heart attacks, prevent congestive heart failure, prevent diabetes. And it was one of the best periods of my time when I was able to practice because I really enjoyed it, knowing the income was safe and supportive from somewhere else. What's so cool about non-clinical income streams is once you get it set up, you're in control, you're in the driver's seat. And at that point, you can choose to practice medicine, but realize that medicine or work is optional, and you get to do it on your own terms. So the rest of the video will be a keynote I did to 80 successful physicians who are part of my coaching program at my recent Limitless MD retreat in Austin. I gave a masterclass on how to start creating non-clinical income streams. What I did was, at the beginning, I really emphasized mindset. See, if you don't have the mindset, if you don't have the brain operating system to be able to withstand challenges, to forge new paths, to be somewhat of a contrarian, and to keep pursuing your dreams despite challenges or obstacles, then the 10 non-clinical income strategies I share with you at the end of the video won't work. They'll be useless because you don't have the capabilities to pursue them. So pay attention, get locked in. I think you'll really enjoy it. I'll see you on the other side.
I want to thank you guys for making the time to come out here. I know some of you have kids at home, you have spouses, you have loved ones, but it does mean a lot for you guys to come here and attend this event. I think you're going to notice a transformation by the end of this weekend. And it's short, it's sweet. We got today, we got tomorrow, you got last night, and the goal is to go home a changed man or woman. And I used to attend a ton of these things. It really changed my life and allowed me to change my trajectory. And I hope it does that same thing for you today. No further ado, I just want to get going and talk about some concepts that I've been thinking about. So every retreat, I try to come up with a theme. I decided a little bit of Greek history here and mythology. I'm like, let's reference our man, King Midas. And this guy eventually had a gift where everything he touched turned to gold. And I tried to say, hey, look, in my life, that's what I kept on repeating to myself. It didn't always happen, but I kept on repeating to myself. And I realized that if I touch something long enough, it will turn to gold eventually. There's caveats to that. And so I want to share with you a quick video of someone I admire, and every time I listen to this guy, I get fired up. It's like Charlie is high-octane fuel. This is like nuclear fuel. So I want you guys to listen, and then I want to ask you a very powerful question at the end.
You gotta have the courage. Do you have the courage to act outwardly on what you see inwardly? Or will you die a dreamer? Will you die on the verge and on the edge and in the land of coulda, woulda, and shoulda? Do you have the courage? I'm going to drop something on you. It takes courage to be successful. It is far easier not to be successful. Misery will always have company. Success breeds contempt. If you don't want to make waves, be mediocre. Be normal and fit in. And if you're more concerned about people than you are God, then neutralize everything he put in you. Just fit in with everybody else. Dress like them, walk like them, act like them, eat like them, go where they go, think like they think, do what they do. And once you've neutralized your uniqueness, you don't need courage. It takes courage to be different. It takes courage to go where you've never gone before. For some of you, it took courage to come to this conference. It takes courage to get you outside of the box. It takes courage to be successful. It takes courage to win. People don't talk about people that don't win. If you win, they're going to talk about you. Do you have the courage to stand there though the storms keep raging and the people get to talking and you stand there and say, I've come too far to turn around? Do you have the courage? I'm going to say something to you. It takes courage to be exceptional. It takes courage to be wise. It takes courage to be rich. It takes courage to be educated. It takes courage to be knowledgeable. Because the moment you do, but you don't talk like you forgot where you came from. Look at you, it takes courage. And I'm just wondering, in this weak, watered down, mediocre society that we live in today, in this reality TV world we live in today, I'm wondering if there's anybody left that's got the courage to say, after all I've been through, and all my ancestors have been through, and all my parents have been through, I didn't come through all of that just to fit in with normalcy. I have the courage to go after my dream. Is there a woman left in this entire Coliseum that's got some courage?
Do you have the courage? I can't hear you. Yes. I can't hear you. Yes. Do you have the courage to act outwardly on what you see inwardly, right? That's the question we have to ask. It's easy to be average, right? A lot of your colleagues already are. Misery has company. Like, mediocrity is comfortable. Why not just stick to the W-2? Why not just chill out? You already earned 6 figures. Why do you want more? Normal is predictable. But guys, success requires courage. And it's not once and done. It's every single day. It was 2005. I applied for cardiology. So how many disappointments can you guys handle before you quit? This was my dream. Like, literally, like, I had 6 people who had heart attacks in my family. I wanted to do this. I wanted to figure it out. It seemed like a cool job. They paid pretty good. Why not? I went all in. I interviewed at 20 locations. I had come from a good pedigree, Georgetown, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get this, no problem. Match day comes, rejection. Did not match anywhere. Question really is that it? Am I done? I thought about it, maybe for like a day, you know? I was like, hey, maybe I need to go start my entrepreneurial journey a little earlier, so I was like, let me go get an MBA. But then I was like, man, that's copping out. You said you wanted to be a cardiologist, why are you quitting? And so I just redoubled my efforts. I did tons of research, I got really good letters of recommendation. I got published in like 20 journals, and I reapplied, and boom, I finally got it. Every time each of you have faced a challenge, you've stepped up and shown courage. Why is today any different when you're facing your new challenges? So one mentor I follow, Jim Rohn, he says, you need to learn to discipline your disappointments. Don't let the emotion of these disappointments overwhelm you. Right? You have to discipline and contain those emotions and use them as fuel. All of you are building empires right now, and I'm so proud of all of you. These empires have to be built on challenge, on failure, on not yets and some days, right? On almost. That is how you're going to eventually get to success. People think greatness is a straight line, or it's pretty easy, or some people are just born or gifted with it. In fact, there's a paradox to success. And, you know, I talk about this concept called sprinting the marathon. This is how you're able to achieve success for long periods of time. So a friend of mine in Atlanta once told me, hey, look, there's 3 types of people in the world. There's people who are sprinters. They're fast, things done, they're hardworking, but they burn out. Then they pause. Takes them weeks, months, maybe years to recovering and go for another victory. Then there's the people who are very consistent, no matter what, they keep plugging along. These are the marathoners. They're not very fast. They don't necessarily achieve monumental success, but they never stop. Then he goes, Vikram, there's actually one more type. The guys who sprint the marathon. These are those crazy Kenyans who do a marathon in like under 2 hours, right? These guys can go at a reasonable pace where it seems very amazing for outside people for success. They don't ever turn off because they're figuring out how to sustain it for a long period of time. They have one word that can help them: stamina. And so I urge you guys to consider this paradox of greatness and success and adopt both. Having the sprint energy, which is high urgency, a daily discipline, bold action, and focusing on the now. Marry that with the marathon mindset, long-term time horizon, 10-year commitment, the momentum, and having the vision. So if you sprint daily, you commit for the decade, and I'm going to talk to many of you in this room here. I'm going to look at all of you, and many of you have this, and I have it too. I joke with many of you guys. I go, by the time I come down from my shower to my breakfast table, I have 5 new business ideas, right? So we need to avoid lesser goals that kill our greatness. We need to avoid the shiny objects. We need to avoid the noise and the distraction. I believe each and every one of you can master anything. You just have to give it enough time. 10 years is what I've seen as a good marker for success. Roofing companies, restaurants, real estate, medicine, clinics, scaling, coaching, they will all be successful. You have to focus your energies on it. Give it the 10 years. At the beginning, it will seem linear. It seems boring, right? Year 1, year 2, you're figuring it out. You're failing. You're struggling. You fall down. You get back up. You're confused. You're wondering if this is the right thing. Well, guess what? That's what hard feels like. It's supposed to be hard. That's exactly what it's supposed to feel like. Then maybe you feel imposter syndrome. Great. Welcome to the club. We're all card-carrying members of imposter syndrome. At that point, many of you will quit. Not you in the room because you guys are limitless, but outside of this room, they will quit. But you will stay on because you have grit. You'll start refining. You'll start tweaking. You'll start iterating. You'll get some early wins finally. And then the curve shifts. It goes from linear to starting to get exponential. You start compounding mastery, compounding skills, compounding relationships, compounding money, and you go exponential. But Vic, you told me, hey, steal someone else's 10,000 hours. You told me to hack the hustle. Yes, there is a way to do that, right? You can collapse time with coaches, mentors, masterminds. You can maybe steal shortcuts from books and conferences and courses, but you still have to put in your 10,000 hours for your company, your success, or your goals, your objectives, and your dream. So you can't lose if you don't quit. Now, here's the important part. There's a price to pay. What's the price? The price is courage. Courage is the price. The toll is disappointment. How many disappointments can you handle? And the gatekeeper is time. How much time are you willing to put in? But hear me on this, guys. Hear me on this. If you stay the course, the breakthrough is inevitable. So I recently came across an entrepreneur in the Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. This guy, his name is Karan, and he's an Indian dude, and he was in the aviation industry. So what that means is, you know, like these private jets and stuff, they have like a aviation park that they have to fly in and out of, and he was managing those aviation parks. He was making good, decent money, he was very happy. But his passion was he wanted to be a restaurateur. And he wanted to open these restaurants, and he loved food, he loved people, he loved experience, all of it. He had no experience in it, but he really wanted to do it. He got some partners, and he decided to open up some restaurants. And the goal was to create these unforgettable culinary experiences that would just wow his guests. And so he started with his first restaurant. It was called American Tandoor, and it was in Northern Virginia in this very fancy mall that's near our house. And it's, you know, like a high-end mall. And he's like, oh, this is a no-brainer. High-end mall, a lot of foot traffic, cool concept. It's going to win. It was exciting for about a year or two, and then the reviews came in. People didn't like the food. No one started showing up. And eventually, he had to close down. He failed. He's like, okay, hey, you know what? Maybe the concept was off. Let me try a different concept. So same location, he started another restaurant. It was called Layla, and it was like a Mediterranean Indian fusion. He's like, oh, cool. Same thing. Excitement at the beginning. This time he had some DJs. He had like a night lounge. He created all this cool stuff. Again, failed. So, okay, perhaps it's the location. So then he goes, I'm going to let go of that location. He got more money, more loans, more debt, more partners, and he went to downtown, prime location downtown, called Punjab Grill. And this time he goes, I'm going to create a high-end Indian concept, which there's not that many of those. And so he's like, let's do that. This time he had success for a little bit longer, about 2.5 years. Again, the same thing happened. All 3 eventually got shut down, closed his doors. He had massive debt, humiliated the community, the business community. The question is, what do you do now? Oh, restaurants are horrible businesses. I would never go into that. Okay, what if it's your passion? So he decided to roll his dice again. This time he came up with a new concept. This is where like it was like a tasting menu. It was a gastronomic experience. It's where like each drink was like handmade by a mixologist, cultivated. It was like artistry in every bite. Ambiance was amazing. Successful for about 2 years. then same thing happened. He's like, what the hell, right? And he was finally ready to give up. His staff were like, let's just call it. We'll figure out a way to pay off the debts. Then someone told him there's one last week where I think there's some critics coming. Let's see what happens. It's like, fine, I have nothing to lose. Why not? So what happened was that critic came in, ate the food, was blown away, ended up being a Michelin-rated critic, and he had a raving review, and he eventually got his a Michelin star. And this is one of the first Indian restaurants in the region to get a Michelin star. And now, highly successful. You can't get a reservation. You can't. It's overbooked. That's where I went. I took my wife for our 17th anniversary. That's me with the owner there, Kern, and he's a tall guy, the bald head there. And then, he's been featured in all these magazines. And so now people look at him as an overnight success. How many of you have done something where you worked on it for 3, 4, 5, 10 years? People see your success, they're like, oh man, he's lucky. They didn't see all the bruises, the hard work, the failures, all the underwriting you did that didn't work out, all the times you tried to get your clinic to a next level and didn't work out. And the concept I want to leave you with is, one, obviously persistence and never giving up and always rolling the dice again in something you really believe in. But the second concept is, you only have to win once for it to change everything. If you have one big exit in real estate, if you have one big multiple evaluation for your clinic, if you have one entrepreneurial side hustle that really takes off, you could be set for life. So don't stop. Keep going. Pursue what you're supposed to do on this earth. The next concept I want to talk to you about is this concept of the time billionaire. So a lot of us, we deify billionaires. We're like, oh my God, look at that billionaire. Like, billionaires are such a popular story. It's in the media. We're all excited about being billionaires. And this guy, Graham Duncan, who's like an investor, he's like, you know what? I think there's a different concept of billionaires. And so he goes, let me run a thought experiment. So let me ask you a question here. Raise your hands if you would trade places with Uncle Warren. Raise your hands, pretty high. Okay, about a third of the room. I can see the allure there. So imagine Warren Buffett, right? The beauty of AI, guys. Look at this, come on. Let's give it up for our slide designers here, thank you. So Warren, age 93, offers you $1 billion to swap lives. Who would say yes? Okay, we got one. It went down a little bit, okay. So you get his fortune, but you also get his age. Who would take that deal now? Anybody? No, I don't see any hands. Most people say no, but why? Why do you think? Tell me. And you know this, guys, right? You already own the one thing he can't buy back, time. And so here's where the concept of the time billionaire comes in. At age 20, you only have 1.89 billion seconds left of life. At 50, that number drops to about 946 million. So Graham Duncan says now the new people we should be lauding and praising are people which we call time billionaires, anyone who have 1 billion seconds or more left on Earth. And so really this highlights the two rarest resources that I've come across, time and energy. If you have those things, you can accomplish anything. And so if you look at people who are older than you and further than you, realize that's okay. If you are younger than them, you have something going for you. And even if you're older, that's okay too, because if you realize the value of this asset, you'll use it better. Because really, time is the only asset you can't earn back. It's also the only asset that you start utilizing, but you don't know how much you're allocated. You don't know how much you were given. Seneca says, it's not that we have a short time to live, but we waste a lot of it. And I'm guilty of this too. I feel like I've wasted certain parts of my life, certain parts of my time. And so it reminds me that, we're mortal, and we have a short time on this earth, and we should maximize this. And so along those lines, I just came back from Costa Rica. I went there for our 50th. It was like 20 guys, different ranges, maybe from like 40 to about 60, right? I was one of the youngest guys there. We did mountain biking, we did whitewater rafting, we did ATVs, zip lining. We had a good time on the resort. At the last day, we were on this boat. It was the last day I had to go back. I knew we had this treat, I had all these things on my mind, but I just took a moment and just reflected. I was looking over it was a sunset, there was a Pacific Ocean, and I was like, most of the people on this boat, they have more time behind them than in front of them. It was an interesting realization. And I don't know if that's true for the people in this room, but time is not guaranteed, it's a gift. And so with that said, how should we use the gift? So now I want to get into some tactical strategies of what you can do with this time to create some of the goals you have. Many of you, who here has wealth goals? Raise your hand if you have wealth goals. Raise them high. Good. Most of you. Great. So let's talk about wealth behind the white coat. And many of you guys are starting to become experts at this. That's why you guys come to us, like Limitless MD. This is what you guys know us for, right? Yes, can we teach you on real estate? Yes, we can teach you a lot about real estate. Can we teach you about how to scale your clinics? Absolutely. Can we teach you about side hustles? Yes. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. You guys know some of that, or you're already applying some of that. I want to tell you alternative strategies to get 100K in 30 days. So the first one is called virtual health offers. This is what I call concierge and second opinions. So what does it mean? It's meaning turning your Zoom consults into 100K. So let's say the minimum investment, some branding, software setup, you can start offering second opinions to people for $5,000 with the concierge plan built in. You only need 20 clients at 5K to make 100K. And who would you target? Oh, that seems outrageous to pay that much. Trust me, people are already paying them. CEOs, executives, biohackers. You want to position yourself as a high-touch, trusted, all-in-one advisor. You can get the 100K. What's the second strategy? Well, let's talk about maybe coaching and business program. Package your knowledge and collect the 100K, right? So maybe you need a landing page, an ad, some webinar. But what are you selling? What you're selling is how to start some type of business or strategy or clinic. Everything's all included. It's a setup. So it's $15,000 for a business in a box, essentially. And all you need is 7 docs, and you get 100K. Or you can do a boot camp just for the weekend. It's a $5,000 boot camp, $3,000 boot camp, $4,000 boot camp. And over the 3 days, you immerse them in some topic. And let's say you have $2K for the boot camp, and you get 50 people. That's 100K. What would you teach them on? Well, we already have people in our group who've done telemedicine. They've created a strategy where, hey, I'm going to show you telemedicine and how to get it set up. There's other people who can teach on hormones or weight loss or longevity. Or if you're very good at trading, you can teach on trading or investing. Setting up ASCs, premium retreats and events. This looks familiar, right? Monetize transformation, right? $100,000 in a weekend, right? Let's say you spend a good amount, get a location, get a nice facility, and you make it fun, exotic. You can create a 3-day VIP retreat for $10,000 a person, and all you need is 10 people. It's 100K, right? And what would you do in that retreat? Perhaps, let's say it's a health and wellness retreat. Maybe you're talking about really advanced blood work, mindset, fitness, longevity, lifestyle, stem cells perhaps, biohacking, weight management, all in like a 3 to 5 day experience. That's 100K. What about real estate? Not the traditional real estate you know, but a different style of real estate. You can raise capital, right? This is what I call being actively passive. I don't want to run the deals, but I just don't also want to be just very purely passive. So how do you get paid to be a connector? Well, you can be what we call allocator. You can set up some legal, some branding, some webinars. You can tap into your warm network, and you can raise $1 million, and you get paid 10% of that. 100K, and this is all SEC compliant, and there's people in the room that can highlight that strategy for you. But why does this work? Well, people trust physicians, people trust friends, and you curate the deal for them, you vet the sponsor, so you do a lot of some of the legwork, and you bring people on board. What about this? Bridge loans to real estate operators or gap funding. This is an interesting strategy. So if you have money lying around, you don't want to necessarily do a lot of hard work yourself, but you want to be a money lender in a way. This is very powerful. You can get paid 20, 30, 40, 50K in 30 days. How? You can charge 2% interest per month, and you get 2 points. Point is 1% of the investment amount that they're borrowing. So that's 4% on 500K. That's $20,000 in 30 days, right? And so you do with vetted people, vetted operators, and something you know a little bit about, and you use promissory notes and legal docs. How many people in this room would probably benefit from, like, if you're closing a deal, but your last 100K or 200K or 500K or $1 million? Like, I've been in that situation many times where I just needed a small amount to just close the gap, then I can fill it up afterward. Or if you're in a bind and you need some money for your clinic or something else. This is where a person can lend and both people can benefit. Anyone know who Tim Ferriss is? Raise your hand if you know Tim Ferriss. What's his books he wrote? Yeah, 4-Hour Work Week, 4-Hour Body, 4-Hour Chef, a couple of things like that, Tools of Titans. So he's an interesting guy. He's a podcaster. He's like an expert in really like breaking down genius into solvable steps that someone else can do. And he has a popular blog and things like that. So when he was thinking about, should I go get an MBA at Stanford, he decided to, instead of investing, Stanford MBA costs about $60,000 to $70,000 a year. Pretty expensive. Instead of using that money to go pay for an MBA, he took that money and he decided to invest in angel startups himself. And the thought process is, he thought about it as tuition. Interesting, right? He thought of it as tuition. And so he goes, I may lose it all, but I'll learn everything. And so he invested in 6 to 12 early stage startups, just small amounts, $10,000, $20,000 each. And over 2 years, he learned about startups, finance, products, deal making. And he thought he was literally going to be either break even or lose it all. He ended up scoring some big hits. He invested early in Uber, Twitter, Shopify, Duolingo. His portfolio grew 4x on paper and had 2 successful exits. What's the takeaway for you all? Sometimes You need to just learn through execution. A lot of you are waiting for expansion of your clinics, starting your side hustle, starting your real estate strategies, but instead of waiting, say, hey, look, I may not be profitable on my first deal. I may just break even. That's okay. The education is worth it. It's priceless. So mentorship, experience, and access is what sometimes are the ROI instead of just pure money. This concept is acquiring a business via seller financing. So instead of always building and starting a new business, a new practice, a new idea or venture, why not buy something existing? I know some of you already have success. Gabe, raise your hand, man. You've done some of this, haven't you? Yeah. How about you, Mike? You've bought some businesses? Yeah, guys, there's a lot of people in here that say, hey, I don't want to scratch my head. I don't want to start from scratch. I also don't want to put my own money into it. Can I buy a business on the cheap and use seller to finance it for me? And so the concept here is buy the cash flow, don't build it. It's safer. So investment could be as low as 50 to 100K. You can buy a clinic, a med spa, a franchise, and use seller financing, and you can flip it in a short amount of time. And the key here is targeting people who are tired, or they're retiring, or they just don't know operations or marketing, and you can just take it over. I'm telling you this for a lot of the doctors here who I coach. I tell them, hey, look, when you're trying to expand your clinics, consider buying people around you instead of just building new clinics. This next concept is called the key principle for real estate loans. So there's this concept here that essentially, let's say you don't want to invest at all. Absolutely not, but you want to be involved in real estate. What can you leverage? Well, if you have cash in the bank, if you have liquidity, sometimes people need that to sign on the loan. So you can just guarantee a loan, be a loan guarantor, and people will pay you 100K. I remember for one of my deals, I had to pay someone 80K just to show she can let me borrow her balance sheet, right? She got it at the closing, that's it. And I never heard from her again. It was like literally 30 days of work for her. So if you have high net worth or a higher net worth, and you have good credit and you have liquidity, this is something you can utilize. There is an expert who's going to talk to us about stocks and options and trading and strategies and mindset. Roger Corey, you'll hear from him, but there's a concept that many of you know called covered calls. It's an option strategy, really, that's essentially you're selling stocks, selling options on stocks you already own. And the interesting theory here is it's a pretty consistent way to build nice income, 5 to 10% monthly. And you can focus on large cap stocks, and you can automate this using different platforms like Options Alpha. And here's the last one, guys. Who here owns a home? Raise your hand if you own a home. Great. Who here has equity in their home? Great. Guess what? That's dead capital, potentially, right? You can use that and use something called arbitrage. Arbitrage is essentially taking money from one place that's paying a lower interest rate and then able to take advantage at a place where you're going to get higher returns, right? And it's based on the equity you have available, and it's only meant for short-term things. You're not trying to like take a large HELOC and leave it outstanding for a long period of time. But if there's an opportunity here for a quick win, consider it. Short-term, high-yield strategies, you can use it for bridge loans, flips, things like that. Okay, so those are my 10 strategies. Were they helpful? Some new concept for you guys? Raise your hand. Was that good? All right, good. So now, how do you turn what we're talking about into gold, right? Well, the key concept here is not dabbling. It's mastery. Any Steph Curry fans in the room? Right? So a lot of people think Steph is lucky. He was blessed with good genes. He knows how to shoot. And his dad was an NBA player. That's why he's so good. But people fail to realize that he's perfected the science of mastery. He takes 500 shots every single day for his whole career, meaning he doesn't miss a day. That's 3,500 shots a week, 14,000 shots a month. That's almost 200,000 shots a year. That's 2.5 million shots in 15 seasons, just in preparation. So he can just take, all of that comes out to 0.1% of what he does in a season. 0.1% in a season. So on average, he takes 158 more shots in practice than he ever does in a game. That's why he's the GOAT of three-pointers, right? He's made, I think it's the NBA record, the most three-pointers of anyone ever. And it's his mastering the fundamentals through consistent preparation and repetition. People don't realize this, but most people want the spotlight, but few will do the reps in the dark. So when no one's looking, guys, that's when the hard work begins. Mastery lives in monotony. Greatness is built and it's not born. So this is a concept that really resonated with me and I wanted to share with you all. You're rewarded in public for what you do in private. So now I want to share with you how our good friends, Chat and others, can help you stimulate and grow your mindset and your capabilities. So these 3 Chat GPT prompts I'm about to share with you are so powerful, they're forbidden in the United States. I'm just kidding. No, but they're really good. So the first one is helping to reverse engineer your future self. Here's the 10-year vision prompt. So obviously this is a good screenshot. Imagine me 10 years from now operating at my full potential What do I already know? What have I unlearned? Build me a training blueprint to become that person. I did this. It was really good. You want to use this to clarify your destiny, to collapse time, and to actually design a customized, curated plan for you on your training path for your next evolution. And the goal is to think like your future self, then train like your future self. Next is to decode your mental operating system, right? Let's see if ChatGPT can become a mind reader. Here's the prompt. Analyze my communication patterns based on our conversation so far. Tell me what you observe about my thinking style, decision-making approach, and potential blind spots. This is powerful, right? It gets rid of the ego, it gives you feedback, it talks about your unconscious patterns that you're doing, and it helps you optimize clarity in your leadership, right? Self-awareness is the genesis of transformation. Here's the last one. This is how you can think like a legend. This comes from the concept of how a lot of people say, like, a lot of these great people have a reality distortion field around them where they bend reality. And the most famous person is obviously Steve Jobs, who talks about that. So here's the prompt. Help me view, and this is where you insert your challenge or situation, through the lens of someone with an extraordinary mindset like Steve Jobs, showing how they would approach this differently. This will help you snap out of your small thinking. This is going to help you see problems in $1 billion mind frame and generate creative and asymmetric solutions, right? You shift your lens, you shift your life. And so here's the final framework, and then we'll wrap up here. This is based on Alex Ramosi, and he has this parable he talks about called the game of dice. So imagine here, you have two friends, and you both are playing dice. The goal of the game is the dice has one green side and the rest are red sides. One person is given a 20-sided dice and another person is given a 200-sided dice. Great, but the problem is you don't know who got what. So you don't know which dice you were given. If you stop rolling, you lose, and the goal is to keep rolling till you get greens. So here's the rule. If you roll green, one of the red sides turns green as well. If you roll red, nothing happens. And so you keep rolling, and the goal is to keep more greens over time. What you realize is, at the beginning, you're not going to get much green. You roll green, you roll the dice, you get red, you're like, that sucks. You roll the dice again, you get red, that sucks. You roll the dice again, you get red, that sucks. You roll the dice again, you get green, you're like, oh, yes. And now one of the other sides turns green. You're like, okay, we're onto something. And what happens is, with enough reps, the green becomes the norm, and success compounds as effort accumulates. So all you need in life is really one green side. That's all you need. And if you fail with the red, that's okay. You get to roll again. So every green makes the next green easier, right? The easier it gets, the easier it gets. Momentum compounds. And streaks come from repetition, not just luck. And let's say there's your two friends, right? You keep rolling and your friend's like pissed off here. So you roll after roll after roll and you build a momentum. And your friend, he thinks that the game is rigged. He sees you getting more greens than he did. He feels frustrated. He gets envious. He gets jealous. He's watching and he's like, you know what? I'm out. This is not worth it. The problem is they're confusing someone's 1,000th roll with your 10th. Don't assume their ease is luck. It's most likely volume. What I'm trying to tell you all is repetitions, guys. It doesn't matter what die you've been given in life. If you have a die with 20 sides, fine. You'll maybe get it faster. Maybe you're born with a family with a net worth of 50 million. Fantastic. You're going to get to your goals faster, hopefully. Some of you have been born where your parents were in poverty. Great. Maybe it'll take you a little longer. You have to keep rolling. And so the more you roll, the better you get. And if you quit, you lose. Those are the two truths. And so the theme is this. A few begin early, others begin later. The rest sit on the sidelines. You don't lose by rolling red. You lose by walking away. And remember our gentleman at the beginning. Do you have the courage to keep rolling? So can I ask you for a promise? Will you keep rolling? Yes. Absolutely. So again, you cannot lose if you don't quit, guys. The game is not to win the game quickly. The game is to stay in the game long enough so compounding can take effect. And with that, I want to share with you a last video. And this is about not just us now. Now we have to think about the next generation, the people we're mentoring, our kids, the future generations in front of us.
How do you see your kid's future? And he said to me, my grandfather walked 10 miles to work every day. My father walked 5. I'm driving a Cadillac. My son is in a Mercedes. He said my grandson will be in a Ferrari. But he said my great-grandson will be walking again. So I asked him, I said, well, why is that? And he said to me, tough times create strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. Weak men create tough times. He said to me, many will not understand, but you have to raise warriors.
I really like that last line, guys. Tough times build strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times produce weak men. Weak men bring back tough times. That's why we're in the tough times where we are now in the world. And I need you guys, because the strong people, to bring us back to where we need to be. We need to raise warriors. We need to mentor the next generation. We need to instill our culture, our values. We need to stand up for the next challenges ahead. Stay strong and be phenomenal. Thank you.